Franchising is an amazing model where you can join a franchise system, brand, and take advantage of the tools, follow the plan, and create generational wealth in a way that probably impossible in any other industry.
Hello, everyone, and thanks again for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your podcast host. Today, we are going to welcome one of our franchise partners here to talk about their brand. But today's guest is really here to talk about much more than just their particular brand and talk about franchising in general. He has been a leader, an absolute leader in this industry for 30 years. All with the same franchise. I mean, how many people can say they ever stay at the same place that long, no matter what the industry is? And as as kind of an icon and a beacon in this industry, in the 2024 International Franchise Association Conference, he was awarded the prestigious Ronald E. Harrison Award, which is for the outstanding work in increasing the diversity in the industry of franchising. This dude is awesome. Can't wait to talk to him. But first, a quick reminder of who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm dedicated working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We're partnered with over 600 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 70 industries. Two goals for us. Number one, properly educate you on franchise ownership to determine if this is the path for you. Then secondarily is helping you find your absolute best franchise to own. That's a little bit about us. Now let's get to our amazing guest today. All right, so that is a bit about us. Now let's get to the good stuff. And our guest today is really just an absolute icon in the industry of franchising, the Chief Development Officer and Executive Vice President of Franchising for a franchise called Wild Birds Unlimited, Mr. Paul Pickett. Paul, thanks for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Tim.
Excited to talk to you. I mean, really franchise royalty with us on the show today. I want to hear all about Wild Birds because, like, how do you not want to hear about a franchise called Wild Birds International? So, franchising more than anything is a people business. You've been in this a long time. You know that way better than me. Tell us a little bit about Paul and kind of your journey, even how you got into franchising. Give us a little scoop on that story.
Well, Wild Birds Unlimited is the key. I mean, it is the brand, and I think it's the franchise for me personally. I came to franchising like everyone else in a unique way. I am a bird lover. I grew up in northern Minnesota. I raised birds, I watched birds, I fed birds, and I went to college to study birds. And I have a master's in ornithology. That's what I did. Science and business are very much alike. Our founder, Jim Carpenter, founder, CEO, president, he went to college and got a master's degree in plant physiology. And did what most terminal masters science do, looked for a job in pharmaceutical, thought about going to med school, didn't get in, worked at a garden center, loved the plants, loved all of that, but loved the bird feeding element of that department within his garden center that he managed. He managed a couple of them, and then always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and had looked into something else, doing a mail order back in the late 70s, early 80s. And in 1981, he made the decision he was going to open a retail store called Wild Birds Unlimited, a retail store specializing in providing all of the products, services, and education about the hobby of backyard bird feeding. So that happened. He started franchising kind of accidentally in 1983. His story is way cooler than mine, but I'm not going to tell his story. You can have him on this podcast sometime in the future. I ran into them at a lot of our stores will do an offsite show, at a garden show, at a nature show, um, Earth Day Festival, things like that, just trying to spread the word, selling more product and getting people to come to the full-time brick and mortar. Jim and his wife, Nancy, who had at that point joined him in the business, had a small booth at the Indianapolis Flower and Patio Show in 1989. I had gone to college, got my master's in ornithology, moved to Indianapolis for love as a very young guy, and was a big gardener. And went to the Flower and Patio Show, ran into this booth. It's like, oh my gosh, I love birds. I love feeding the birds. Ended up chatting with them. I had a horrible full-time job working in a lab at the anatomy department of a local university. And I said, I'd love to work. I thought, how much fun to work Saturdays, I could just pop in, work a shift selling birdseed. And they said, interesting. Yeah, let's talk about that. And they said, send me your, call it CVs back then for science,
Right.
rather than a resume. Send me your resume, which I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I would think that'd be like a one-page application, but I brought it with me. I sent it. That was before email even existed back in 1989. And I went up. It's kind of a funny story. They got busy in the store, unloading the truck. He said, go into the store and walk around, see, just look around. I did. And I ended up engaging with a customer. And at the end, I sold him like $150, $200 worth of stuff. And I walk up to the counter and the woman's like, this guy wants to buy all this stuff. I don't work here. I don't know how to run at the time, the cash register, and maybe not even a cash register. It may have been like an old sales slip and a cash store. Actually, I know that I think about it, it was. And she was like, wow, you're good. Thanks for being a great customer. Long story short, the day got crazy. Jim and Nancy said, listen, we can't talk today. Why don't you come back next week? But we'd like to talk to you about a little bit more about a different job, working in business. I'm like, I don't know anything about business. I came back the next Monday. I left them my CV. They called one of my graduate advisors in the meantime, and I went up and I had a little interview and they offered me a job as the franchise assistant. And I hated the job that I had. It was horrific. I dissected rat brains every day at an anatomy lab. So as an animal lover, as more of a humanist, it was just horrific. It was great research. It was esoteric research looking at the effect of kindling on diabetics, on tremors and how that affected insulin levels and stuff. Very cool project, but a terrible role in that project. So I said yes, because I figure I got nothing to lose.
Right.
I won't even tell you. And Jim and Nancy offered me a raise, which was a significant raise, and it was about $2,000 more than what I was making, but still way back when.
Right. That's a lot of money back then.
I look at it and think, oh my gosh, I was still making less than $20,000 back then. So it was all in perspective, Yeah.
So you got to talk about the raise in percentage and it'll seem better now, right?
Yeah, so. Exactly. But I was the first full-time employee at Wild Birds Unlimited. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I learned and I was interested, and I was realized I was working with people who were working with people who loved birds and bird feeding, and that the joy of what I got to do and the learning curve being so steep of understanding business excited me, and it all worked out.
I would say, because I was going to say, you've been there how long?
35 years. Yeah, I just celebrated.
I was going to say, when was the anniversary? We were rehearsing this earlier, Paul. So when was that?
My 35th anniversary was on April 17th. Yes.
So
a long time.
Amazing. But I think so similar to almost everybody we have on that's been in franchising, I would start with them and what's that story. And I think with two exceptions, it's been some version of like dumb luck, right? Like
Yeah.
it was you didn't know anything about it, and the next thing you know, you're in, and for you, 35, not just 35 years later, at the same place, right? Which is I don't care what industry, that's unheard of. So talk about just an amazing match that you have found is incredible.
Yeah, I think it's I acknowledge the luck, right? I'm not going to diminish the fact that I was really, really fortunate to find something that matched my skill set, matched my passion, matched my soul, matched my ethics, very early in life. Um, the other side is though I took advantage of it, right? I mean, so without hoping to sound arrogant, I had this sense about me to grab on fast
Yeah.
when I saw that opportunity. My dad told me to go to college and get a degree in biology or ornithology because he said at the end of the day, people are going to look at how well you've done versus what you've done. And unless you're going to become a doctor, a nurse, an attorney, that you have to have a degree, a physical therapist, whatever that is,
Right.
to get that job, go to school. If you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, go to school and do something that you're passionate about so that you'll do really well. And I had to pay for my own college. So I also was very committed that
Right.
if I'm going to do this and spend all this money, which now you look back at what kids are paying for college now, it was nothing, but it was a lot then.
Right.
And so I did really well in college because I was committed to it. And I did that because I was lucky enough to find a job that tapped into that same passion.
Yeah. And I think that's and there's literally books written about this, but I think anytime I hear people talk about, self-reflective and being lucky, just that's I think it's the highest level of leadership because you're smart enough to know, like, you took advantage of the opportunity. You were smart enough to see it when it's there, but also humble enough to know, like, there's luck involved. No, their founders, they saw the talent that you had at that age, and even unbeknownst to you, they had already had pegged something higher for you with that, and then you took it and ran with it, which is amazing.
It's been a wild ride.
So, and not only has it been such with wild birds, but you have over the years really grown into just being an integral person within the franchise industry. January, February, whenever that was, the IFA, the International Franchise Association, kind of the organization in franchising. I don't know whether there's 4 or 5 thousand franchise people at this thing, and they have different awards, and we've all been to things where they give awards, and you're like, oh, we'd like to give this award to Tim Parmeter, and everybody's like golf clap, right? So they do an award this past year, and it's the Ronald E Harrison Award, and was you won the award, and I was not, to be honest, I'd heard your name, but I didn't really know who you were in the industry. We've got a lot of franchising. You're like 1 degree away from everybody, right?
Yeah.
And I was blown away. Like literally, I got chills in my arms. I was blown away. Like it was just like everybody shot out of their seat, and just I don't know if you even realize what that was like on the other end. The ovation and the appreciation by every last soul in that place was absolutely amazing. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, that was incredible from my standpoint. I can't even imagine how freaking cool that was for you. So number one, congratulations for winning that, because I know any award with the IFA is prestigious, but especially that one was near and dear to your heart as well. But well deserved, and I hope you were able to kind of appreciate the response that got from everybody there.
I thank you for your kind and thoughtful words. Yeah, it was a little overwhelming, I will say, to say the least. I said I don't think I've ever gotten a standing ovation before, and so to have the first one, that that many people it made, it's not really a winning of the award, it's a granting of the award. You know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
I never felt competitive in this. This has just always been something I've been passionate about, which is that everyone deserves a seat at the table. Everyone, doesn't matter your gender, your preference, your race, your creed, your color, your whatever it is, everyone deserves a place at the table and deserves the best opportunity. That's something that I've always been passionate about. That and obviously birds and conservation and nature and helping people have a joyful, creating joy. And to create joy, there has to be an equal playing field. So it is something I focused on. And I've had the true luxury of working at a brand that has allowed me to do that and has given me the opportunity to spend the time and energy. So, I mean, that comes from Jim and Nancy Carpenter letting me spend the time to start the Pride Council, to do advocacy work for women in franchising, to, work for the new IFA, the Ascension program, and having that bandwidth and support here to do that. And then being honored for it is a little overwhelming, to say the least, considering, but it's been amazing. And if I affected one person's life, then it's all worthwhile. So,
yeah. Well, and
thank
that's
you.
no, and again, I think it's a testament to you, right? Of like you weren't seeking this, man, I got to get this award. You're just following your heart and your passion for that diversity and that inclusion, which I'm quite sure has not been an easy journey within franchising over the last 35 years. And like you talked about the money, the $2,000 raise seemed like a big deal then. Now not so much. But like, can you kind of give a sense of what that transition has been, and just the overall diversity and inclusion in franchising in that time? And it's always always ways to improve, but you've been a big part of that push. What's that been like?
We have come a long way. And I will tell you, the first 10, 15 years, I would go to IFA events. I would go to other franchising events, and I laid low. I wasn't sure. I mean, I never diminished the fact that I've got it a lot easier than so many other people. I'm a gay guy, but I'm a cisgendered white gay guy, right? I mean, that makes life a lot easier.
Right.
But I never really wanted to get that involved, because I thought if I got that involved, people would ask questions. I not very good about evading questions. You can always tell when, I just I can't play that game very well.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But so what I chose to do is to just not play the game at all. So I didn't get that involved. And then as I got a little bit more confident, I got a little older, I maybe cared a little less about if people were going to judge me, but I wasn't sure how it was going to play out. Because
Right.
when I started, I mean, it still was. There were some very strong, powerful women that I knew in franchising who inspired me and who I was just innately attracted to them as individuals and humans. I learned a lot of them. I mean, but I just wasn't sure how this was going to play out and what the response was going to be to me being me authentically. So I just didn't play. And then I finally started being myself, getting involved, getting on committees, being on panels, and I just became myself and stopped evading and let the chips fall. I mean, part of it is, for me, again, this is being fortunate, is Wild Birds Unlimited is my space, right? This is my love, this is my passion, it's not my brand, obviously it's all of our brand, but it's Jim, I don't own the company, but I wasn't looking to move from one brand to another to advance my career. That's not ever been my goal.
Right.
So all of a sudden it struck me, I don't care if individual X or individual Y or brand X or brand Y are not going to be cool with me because of who I am. Why do I care? I'm not going to those brands anyway. So
Right.
let's see what we can do. And then it just expanded from there, and I just became more open about who I was. I knew I was, Jim and Nancy Carpenter have always just said, be yourself, but don't evade the questions. It's
Right.
not my lead story, right? In development.
Right.
Like, hi, thanks for your interest in Wild Birds Unlimited. I'm a gay guy. Well, no, that's not really all. Who cares, right? Honestly, who
Right.
cares?
Right. Yeah. They in the grand scheme of it, they don't care who are. Can we help them educate and on
Right.
on their journey, right?
Right. Is this a good match? Is our brand the right brand for you? Are you right for our brand? Or do we have identical, not identical, but do we believe in each other's value systems?
Right.
Do you believe in our mission? Because that's not going to change. Are you set up and bring to the table what you need to be successful within our brand?
Yeah.
That's my job.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more. So tell us a little, like I always say in franchising, let's be honest, we ain't too bright. So usually the name of the franchise is somewhat indicative as to what it does. So I'm going to say Wild Birds has something to do with, give me a second. Let's go with birds, Alex, for 200. So tell us a little bit about what are those services and products that we have when we're looking at Wild Birds Unlimited.
Wild Birds Unlimited. So we are specialty retailers who are the number one brand supporting the hobby of backyard bird feed. So we provide bird seed, the actual consumable product, and the best products to engage with wildlife in your backyard. Bird feeders, bird houses, pole system. Within the food products, we've got seed cylinders, we've got bag seed, the typical seed. When we've got the best hot pepper stuff to help our communities that our stores engage with to best enjoy the hobby of backyard bird feeding and enhance the joy within that customer's heart and improve nature in general.
Yes, I love, and which is anything that gets us outside.
Yeah.
Or even looking outside is always going to be a good thing. There was something I saw on the website and it was I'm trying to find where it is now. Not live cams. It was like all these cool videos of dang, where is that? How cool is that? Like there was literally that. You've got the bird cams on there, which is super cool.
The owl cam, which is incredible. Barred owls that actually nest in a box in our founder's backyard here in the greater Indianapolis market. And he's got cameras both in and out of the nest box. And nearly every year they're successful. 2024 was great. They fledged 3 babies. It's huge. Customers from all over the world watch this and watch that whole progression of events, from the owls coming in and checking out the box, to laying their eggs, to hatching, feeding the young, raising the babies, and then watching them play. I mean, people are like glued to their computer screen watching this all happen. And then we also have feeder cams, and we work very closely. Cornell Laboratory of Ornithology is one of our strategic alliances. We work very closely with them, educational processes, and they host a whole bunch of other feeder cams. There's some cool ones that aren't Wild Birds Unlimited. Like there's one out in Panama where you can see toucans and a lot of other tropical birds coming and eating fruit. But our feeder cams are amazing. We've got it playing out in our in the lobby here at the Franchise Support Center each and every day, and customers love it. Our stores live stream it throughout the year. It's very cool.
It's like binge watching something on Netflix, right?
I mean, you
So,
never know what's going to happen, right? You
right.
know, it's all, and you know, there are moments where feeders are quiet, and then there are moments where it's just like a feeding frenzy. But you know that we deliver smiles. It
Yeah.
makes people happy. I mean, bird feeding. We're getting ready for our conference in literally 14 days from today, which does make my chest clench a little bit because we have a lot to do. But like one of our keynote speakers, Holly Mercer, for ornithotherapy, talking about, like, in Great Britain, they actually prescribe bird feeding and bird watching as a health augmentation.
Oh, wow.
And you know, listening to bird song. So you can do that. You put a feeder in your backyard, and the birds are going to come and they're going to sing. Actually lowers your blood pressure, decreases cortisol levels, and it decreases stress. I mean, it is not just
Huh.
something that is fun to do and a great hobby that limits no one. You know, there's no age limit, there's no gender limit, there's no race limit. Everyone loves it.
Right.
It also is good. It's good for birds. It's good for wildlife. It gets people outside, and it's good for your health. So
Interesting.
hard to yeah, actually ever feel bad about anything you're doing when you're in this industry.
Well, you mentioned the bird songs, and literally, like, I snap back to a memory, and I don't know what bird it is. I'm sure if I could record it, and you would probably know what it is, but I will still hear the bird song, and it brings me back to being a kid at my grandparents' house, and being like, having played outside, and there was just like that. I don't know what the bird is, but I will hear that song and I will go back there.
Yeah.
It's a rare good childhood memory, right? So, but again, as you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see where that would come in. So, um, so as an owner, I want to talk about a little bit what they do and some things you look for. And we talk with our clients often that there's a myth sometimes, like, oh, you need to have a business that you're totally passionate about or you're totally experienced with. And most times than not, that's not the case. This is probably a counter to that, right? Like,
Well, it's not a complete counter to it. You know, you need to be interested in the hobby of bird feeding. You need to have a connection with nature, to really excel at the job. You know, that is important. It is equally important to have some business savvy, to understand the numbers, to understand the requirements associated with running a retail store, which is not for the faint of heart.
right,
It's a lot easier if you love birds and nature, because community involvement is important, but you can hire to that also.
right,
You know, you can train to that. It's always like, you know, hiring for the smile, hiring for the connection, the ability to make those relational transactions rather than just transactional transactions with your
right.
customer base, and creating those magical moments when a customer, you know, first gets a hummingbird at their hummingbird feeder, or bluebirds are nesting in their backyard, and really being able to share that joy in an authentic way. But, you know, new stores, typically, you've got to have some owner involvement. Typically, they're working on the floor,
Right.
really building that customer base. But we have a ton of our owners. I mean, 45% of our systems in multiple multiple unit operation, which means that you can't be in two places at once. So if you have a store on one side of town and another on the other side of town, or in another state, you can't be there. So you do have to have that ability to train, empower, and hold accountable a staff that can deliver that passion for the hobby in their local community and with their local customer base.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a good point talking about the passion of, I mean, yeah, yes, the birds on the outside, but the people, right? And
Yeah.
their experience there, because again, this is a happy business, right? Like this is a happy, fun existence. People aren't coming in there like, oh man, like I just, got 5 feet of water in my house, come clean it up. Nothing wrong with that, but this is, like you use the word joy. This is a happy, joy, fun business for people to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think I said it earlier. We're selling smiles. The way we sell those smiles is through the joy of the hobby of backyard bird feeding. Jim Carpenter wrote a book, The Joy of Bird Feeding. That is what it's all about, is that joy.
Yeah.
And sharing that with the community. And the stories that we hear, the stories that our franchisees and their teams hear from customers, that just literally change their life.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm sure you can answer this with like 20 different things. So, but talk about the support, the franchise, the whole point of a franchise, right? Proven system, plan, support, all of those things. But some franchises are like, hey, we support you here, but we're really good here and here. Are there a couple of areas that you think as a franchisor, you guys really kind of maybe shine more than others from that support standpoint for owners?
Now I have to think about every single one of my department, all of our people, so I don't schedule anyone else out. But I think that the hardest job in franchising is the coaching, the operational support, and I think we do an amazing job there in delivering our amazing marketing that really shares the joy of the hobby, and having the best products available are important. But those coaches and meeting our franchisees where they are is the most important thing, and understanding that not every franchisee comes at this with the same level of acumen, same ultimate goals, right? I mean, we have some franchisees that are happy with what they have. They don't want to work harder or differently. Growth is not as much of a priority or a motivator. And trying to help them understand why that will hinder their long-term viability,
Right.
but meeting them where they are. And I think our coaches do a really, really, really good job of that. I mean, do we have amazing marketing? 100%, really drilling down to the why people want to shop in our stores is they want, you know what I mean? It isn't just birdseed, it's to buy the best birdseed and to get the coolest birds and to have those solutions. Our hobby and nature education team helping our franchisees give the resources to get out into the community and to giving them those tools and the confidence to go out and deliver those community involvement talks and presentations. Very important. And none of it's good if the product's not great, right? If it's not the best product on the market, but we use obviously customer reviews, and number one in specialty retail, time and time again, because we pick people who are committed to that customer experience.
You talked about the why, Paul, with their customers, but you spend a lot of time with your franchise business coaches, whatever the little term is inside, but your coaches for your owners. That's a big key component for you guys even looking at somebody to bring on as a franchise owner, but then also helping them as well. Like, tell everybody why is the why so important?
If a candidate doesn't understand why we exist and what is required and buy into that why, it's never going to be a good match, right? I mean, a candidate who's like, I just love birds. That's great. Then spend this amount of money that you are going to commit to your business and buy 25 bird feeders and sit at home and watch them. Because
Right.
this is not about watching birds. This is about creating a sustainable business enterprise that is going to actually take you away from watching birds for a while and put you into a business where you're helping other people experience that joy, and you have to get it via them, because you may not be feeding the birds as often as you used, or you may not be able to have the time to watch it because you're running a brand new business, which
Right.
is, again, a big effort. And making sure that people understand that, and the long-term commitment, and it's not an overnight success, and it's a couple of years of thin mark. You know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah. It's hard.
it's hard. It's a startup business. I love it when a candidate says, I want to make X in my first year. I have to make it. Well, like that's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, keep that horrible job. And then but part of the why too is especially at the beginning, those first, year or two, it is hard. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, right? So if you can
Correct.
remember why you're doing this in the first place, and you talked about your horrible job, like how many people have gotten into franchising and can go, well, man, my last job, wow, right? It was terrible. That's part of that why of the control of all aspects of things. So I think it's fantastic you guys really spend time understanding that and help kind of coaching and reminding them on this, and that you're upfront with the fact that, again, this is hard. Like, it's not meant, if it was easy, right? Like we'd all be kicking our feet up and letting the franchise make us millions and millions of dollars without doing anything. But that's not how this is. And kudos to you guys for the being responsible with how we are franchising, from
That
from
word.
that from that. I know, where did that come from? So you don't have hundreds and hundreds of these that are sold that are never going to get open, and you're being smart with everything. So really just kudos to you guys for that. So um I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're super busy, and I know you just got a little mini panic attack when you realized you're 2 weeks from the conference.
I'm
Um,
actually I'm actually in pretty good shape. I just through some rehearsals this morning, and everything's going smoothly right now. So we're excited about it. Very excited.
Excellent. So I'm gonna throw you one more. I'm gonna let you kind of run with this. What's one other thing you want people to know about wild birds franchising? The floor is yours for this regarding, again, wild birds, you franchising, like, ready, set, go.
Franchising is an amazing model where you can join a franchise system, brand, and take advantage of the tools, follow the plan, and create generational wealth in a way that probably impossible in any other industry.
Yeah.
Wild Birds Unlimited is a brand that we've been around for a long time. But it is a brand that speaks to people's soul and allows people to really, they get to love what they do, and they get to make a difference. And I think that when you make the decision to join a brand, you have to decide what do you want to make a difference about.
Right.
I mean, if your difference is to hire and empower a number of employees, and it doesn't matter what they're doing, as long as it's obviously not nefarious or
Right.
wrong, but providing a service that you're okay with, that's great for you. But for us, we really need people who also, like, again, you don't have to be a bird feeding expert. You don't have to be flying to the Himalayas to try to get to see a blue-eared pheasant. That's not important. But if you want to have a business that puts smiles on the people's faces by having them enjoy and engage with nature and making the world a better place, and you're willing to put the work in and to follow the system, Wild Birds Unlimited is an amazing opportunity. We do have the challenges of retail's hard, right? It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
There are a lot of expenses associated, with strict retail. There's cost of goods sold. There's brick and mortar retail. So you have to rent a space, right? And those things they have to be played into the mix as you make that decision. But if you're confident in yourself and your ability to share that joy and to create an environment and a customer experience that's second to none, you have got a model that is amazing because it's repeat customers, right?
Yeah, right.
It's a small footprint compared to other retailers for the amount of product. I mean, we replenish our inventory literally almost every week on our number one category. That is consumable. So people have to come back to get more. I mean, that's the amazing thing is, it's not a one and done. These are relational experiences with your customers. And the theme of our conference this year is called Magical Moments. And so we've captured a bunch of those magical moments that we're sharing with our system as they come here to Indianapolis for our annual Enterprise Leadership Conference. And listening to the things the customers say, listening to the comments that their staffs are making about our franchisees and about the impact that they've made on their communities, it's more than just the money. You have to think about the money.
Yeah, right.
Ultimately, it's not sustainable if you're not able to pay the bills. But that push for that experience and that joy and those smiles and knowing that you're making the world, which is, it's a crazy world out there, a better place for every living organism is a great way to spend your day and your efforts.
I love it. No, so super cool. And I just thank you for that. Like I was a little more open-ended than normal on that question, but I was pretty sure you had a great answer, and that was fantastic on franchising and wild birds. And so I seriously, I know how busy you are. I can't thank you enough for joining us today. And thank you really for all the amazing things you've done to help make this industry that has been amazing to myself and so many of us. Thank you for continuing to make it even better. And hopefully we get a chance to chat again and soon and see, I'll see you at a conference down the road very soon as well.
I look forward to it. And thank you for the opportunity. It does mean a lot to me very much, Tim. Thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure, Paul. Thanks so much. Again, thanks to the amazing Paul Pickett for joining us today. It was a true privilege to have him here with us. And as always, it's a privilege to have you guys too, our loyal podcast listeners. When you are ready, and again, what the hell is taking you so long? Reach out to our team. Let us help you learn a little bit more about franchise ownership to see if this could be the pathway for you. francoach.net, franchising101podcast.net. Again, whether it's the podcast site or the Fran Coach site or any of our social media sites, follow them all, tag everything, message us wherever. You're always going to speak to me and somebody on the Fran Coach team, and we're here to help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll talk with you next week.